There's a guy. So I went to this park. So I went to this park because somebody had asked for a miracle anyway. And it's at Jackson or off Jackson. Down from the 111 off Jackson. But someone had asked for a miracle anyway. So I thought I'd sit here for my lunch because I want some lunch anyway. I've been driving from city to city to city to city, hours and hours of city to city, that it felt good to be back in the little home area and just relaxing. And I wanted to have a salad. And I was so lucky. The farmers, that farmer's drive-through made me my own custom salad. So, because I just wanted a lot of vegetables and ranch, and it was great. And so I came here, I had my salad, even had some candy cane. I got some candy canes to turn my hot chocolate into more pepperminty hot chocolate. So because I got from the Golden Eagle, I ordered the pepperminty type Golden Eagle hot chocolate thing. It doesn't taste very pepperminty. So I got peppermint sticks, but I had some left over for my little dessert snack. And so I was just having my lunch and dessert and using the restroom, and I realized the man who's like the neighborhood father is here. There's a man, he's known as like the father of the neighborhood. He's like a ghetto boy. He grew up around gangs and ghettos. He's not naive to the gang ghetto world. When LA criminals started coming into Indio, he wasn't dumb about it. He knew it was getting to be kind of a bad neighborhoody kind of thing. So he's just well known as like the father of the area. And everybody loves him. Everybody relies on him. Everybody knows to feel safe when he's around. And he just happens to be here. So before I fake smoke, I thought I would bring that up because that's kind of really cool stuff. Me and the gods got to pick up somebody from, those little tiny houses in Banning? There's these little tiny houses in Banning. And the tiny houses are right behind that main old Banning Street. And it's called Something Outreach. Something Outreach is the name of those little tiny homes. Because I got to park right next to the gate to pick somebody up for their doctor's appointment. Their normal driver canceled, so they were running late. We had to kind of speed to the doctor, but like he got there. He said we got there kind of on time, minus what he has to walk to the doctor or to the appointment. But he was pretty upset because he had made the appointment, I guess, way before, and then he called at 6 a.m. to make sure he'd be on time to his doctor appointment. So he's pretty upset that he didn't get to his doctor appointment. But I told him I'm sorry. Like, by the time I got the call to go and pick him up, I was far away, and he was probably already running later than he wanted to be running. By the time I barely got the call, which means a driver canceled. So the driver canceled his doctor visit, and you kind of hope they had a flat tire or something they could not change. But sometimes drivers cancel and then they miss their doctor's appointments, and it's kind of bad because we all do it. Like there was one time I'm never gonna forget. There was this guy, and he had a serious toxic blood nightmare problem going on. He got into the car, and I said, "Oh my gosh. Lyft doesn't tell me where I was going to take you, and I can't leave the area." And I really couldn't leave the area. I couldn't drive far. And the poor guy was like, okay. And he went back into the house with a nightmare toxic blood problem. And you could tell he was suffering bad. I put all the powers I had into him so that he'd make it through the day just fine. As of today, I'd like to brag about the miracle of the fact that he doesn't have a medical problem anymore. But that's the greatness of God over time. That day he was suffering, and I had not resurrected. I did not have a ton of power, but I gave him everything I had. So sometimes Lyft drivers just don't have a choice, and it's kind of a sad, tragic thing, but sometimes they just cancel. So you got to put in your complaints, because sometimes they just cancel, And why don't take the lift ride if you're getting canceled. And everybody gets that part. But the guy was really nice. The guy was a really nice guy. I was so grateful I got him to his doctor's appointment as on time as I could, considering I was the one that picked him up late because the other driver canceled. Because they were really sweet, nice man. And I picked him up at those tiny homes. And the gods and I were talking about the tiny homes and the fact that if we try to ask if we can park in the parking lot so the power of God will benefit the tiny homes, they'll probably try to force me to live in a tiny home or something because I'm technically somebody I guess you'd try to outreach and help or something. But then there was a God that says, but you're picking up a man, maybe it's only for men, and maybe they'll let you park in the parking lot so your power of God powers would benefit the tiny homes. But overall, the gods were like, no, don't start nothing because then they might rope you and try to make you live in some shelter or something. Then you can't put the power of God everywhere, and like you don't want to get roped into getting stuck somewhere. And they're right. You can't work a miracle except for the people where you go to sleep every day, and that's kind of selfish. It's not really fair. So, but it would have been a good parking lot. That tiny home thing is really good to put your power of God powers on because like it's a brand new beautiful option for people, and it's a brand new beautiful blessing. The person who started those little tiny homes in Banning alongside the freeway like that is a very, very honorable, beautiful person. So maybe like Martha's Kitchen and Fine Food, it will become one of the most real beautiful nonprofits that we have down here on earth. You know what? Where is Mr. Father? So let me show you the guy that's considered the father of the area. He's like the hardcore daddy that watches over the area. I think he's going to drive out at some point. Hold on. He lives down Linda, Flora. So he lives on the road Linda, Flora. He's well known as like the father of the neighborhood. He's a really nice guy. Really sweet man. Well, you know, I'm going to have my fake smoke, so he was maybe going to drive down the road, but just think or say my queen, my queen, my queen, and they'll tell you all about him. He's a really neat guy. A fun thing to think of for the holidays. Don't you ever wonder, how come God don't make the ghetto holiday? He makes the ghetto. If God so loved Tupac and Snoop Dogg, where's the ghetto Christmas? If God's loved black magic, why is there not a black magic Christmas? What's going on here? Is it like the cult where you can only be Christian around the Christian preacher? You can only be Buddha around the Buddha preacher. You can only be, what's the other religion? What's some other religions? There's Buddha's religion, there's all kinds of religion. But you know what I'm saying. You have to live in the cult and be submissive to the preacher of that religion. And that's Christmas. We just have to have God and Jesus' Christmas because that's their kind of favorite Christmas. But then why did God so love Buddha that he let him put a statue here? Like, what's going on with this? I don't live in the box, people. And I refuse to let God leave me in oppression. I don't believe a good, loving God would ever tell us to be mindless zombies. So let's call it on the gods, man. Gods, we're just calling it. What the heck with this? What the heck with this? I think they need to explain a little bit of stuff. Need some explaining. If God has nothing to hide, then God can explain it all. I'm just their mother. I let them do whatever they choose to do. But I swear this stuff is not adding up.